This is my Saturn story. No, it's not about the planet, it's about the car. Officially, it started in the early 1990s as Saturn released the first S-Series car in 1991. My story begins in early 1994. Living in Maple Shade, New Jersey, I was driving a 1987 Nissan Stanza that would later become known as the Altima. It served me well, but I was ready for a new adventure. And according to my car buying notes, yes, I still have that paper from 1994, I was considering several cars for my replacement, including a Mazda 626, a Honda Civic, another Nissan, a Pontiac Grand Am, and this brand new car, the Saturn SL2. As you may have guessed, I chose the Saturn, a 1994 SL2 model with 5-speed and in the most unique color I had ever seen, Plum. I purchased the car new from Saturn of Mount Laurel, New Jersey on Route 73. It must have been around February because I recall we had some snow, a few inches, and as I got in my new plastic lightweight car, the front wheels just spun like crazy in that 3 or 4 inches of wet snow. I thought, oh my gosh, what did I do? Well, 2 months later, I got transferred from New Jersey to Minnesota. And with my Catra car, we packed up and moved across the country. I even made a mixtape for the optional cassette deck that opened with Go West by the Pet Shop Boys. A short time before leaving, I got together with my sister in Howell, New Jersey, and we recorded about 1 or 2 minutes of us being silly in the Saturn as we attempted to mimic the look of Mary Tyler Moore from the iconic TV opening as she drove into Minneapolis. Decades later, I remixed the old video. The Saturn and I, along with Drakkar, of course, would make the cross-country trip 2 more times in 1995 when I took yet another job transfer to Washington, D.C. But upon spending a few months in the nation's capital, I moved back to Minnesota while also embarking on a new career at the ripe age of 30. Soon after buying the Saturn, Ford released the all-new version of the Mustang, which in many respects can still be seen in the modern design today. Since my first car as a teenager was a 1967 Mustang, I sort of had a thing for those too. Well, let's be honest, I didn't have a thing for the Saturn. It had not quite reached iconic levels yet, but I did love that plum color. As such, in 1996, while still living in Minnesota, I traded in the Saturn for a just back from lease 1994 Mustang GT. Barely 15,000 miles as I recall. Anyone that knows cars knows the transmission in the Mustang would be crap and started failing around 30,000 miles. But Ford didn't care. Just 2 years later, I traded it in for another Nissan Altima, a 5-speed again, and that one stayed with me for 12 years. Fast forward 2+ decades, and the year is 2024. Saturn is long gone, killed by GM in 2010. Approaching another milestone birthday, I reflected back some 30 years and wondered about my old Saturn. I found the car last showed any activity in late 2012 and early 2013, appearing to have gone to auction in or near South Dakota. The lookup even had a few photos. Honestly, it was kind of sad. The odometer showed 132,000 miles or so, which means it had another 200K to go. But finding it would be nearly impossible. Enter several Saturn groups online, and lo and behold, a new generation has fallen in love with these cars. While there's love for every model, the original S-Series seemed to really have a following. It was of course the one model, 100% designed and built by Saturn people. It was part of something brand new, built and developed in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Using a variety of car sites, including Marketplace and Craigslist, I was shocked to see how few first-generation S-Series remained in the market, And when you did find one, they were usually sold in 1 or 2 days. On March 27th, 2025, I contacted the seller of a 1993 Saturn. It was located in Virginia, about 4 or so hours from me. I half expected this exchange to be much like the others, since after all, I had a story, and most sellers could care less about your story. But this time it was different. The exchange continued for a full month, including a day trip to Virginia, and eventually a deal, bringing the one-owner 1993 Saturn SL2 to its new home in Philadelphia in early May of 2025. It's a beautiful blue-green color. That's the exact name given to it by Saturn. I didn't get my 5-speed, but folks in the group say it's pretty easy to swap, so that's on my bucket list. That said, the car sat unused in a garage for 12 years, as apparently the owner took ill and became unable to drive. The son held on to the car, best we can tell for sentimental reasons, until donating it to a charity, Giving Words. The charity receives vehicle donations with the intent to service the cars and gift them to single mothers in need. However, they typically limited the age of the car to maybe 10 or 15 years. The Saturn, while pristine for its age, was 32 years old, and inevitably would need a little work to get it back to life. Shockingly, the original owner had splurged, getting options like ABS brakes with traction control, as well as AC and a CD player. Since getting the car tagged and serviced and on the road in June, I've taken it to 4 car shows, 2 car cruises, and several jaunts with friends to the country for ice cream. And I joined my local car group, the Roxborough Ridge Runners Car Club. Despite the fact that they drive vintage classics from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they welcomed my modern classic from the 1990s. One thing all the cars have in common, they are pre-technology. No computers, no touchscreens, no backup screens, and basic knobs and controls to adjust the heat and the radio. I am 100% new at owning a collector's car, and yes, Saturn is in that realm now. Cars from the 80s and 90s are finding their way into the classic car circuit, as folks like me remembering their first cars, which is often a factor in collecting. Trust me, if money was no object and I had someone willing and ready, I would go in search of my 1994 original and see if it could be saved. Saturn was, in my opinion, the last hurrah for the American car companies. Truly an entirely new car. As the slogan said, a different kind of company, a different kind of car. It truly was the last effort to create and build something, and it was designed to compete with the likes of Honda, Nissan, and Toyota. In many ways it did. Many of the original S-Series models remain on the road today. Regular oil changes, and folks have easily surpassed 300,000 miles. And so, that's my Saturn story. It starts 30 years ago and has been resurrected today in an entirely new experience, and a journey I am very excited to be on.